Hello everybody and welcome back to my Roblox how-to series on everything that you need to know about how to make Roblox games. Today, we're going to be talking about another service that we can find here in the Explorer. Last time, we talked about lighting, and this time we're going to go one more down and talk about the MaterialService. This one, it's pretty straightforward in how it works. It's essentially what handles materials in your game. Like if I go over to this part here from a different video, I can go to its material property and I can, change it. If I wanted it to be corroded metal, or wanted it to be brick, I could do that. It's pretty simple. This is all stuff that you learned when you first started learning how to use Roblox Studio and work with parts. But with the MaterialService allows you to do just a little bit more with the base materials that you have in your game. So if I open up the MaterialService here, you can see I already have some stuff in here. This is examples that I'm going to use for this video. They're from a video I did on the AI assistant for Studio. If you want to go check that out, then I'll leave a card up here in the corner. But these are materials. They're an instance that you can put into your game. You can search up material variant, and bada bing, bada boom, you got it. So a material variant is essentially like saying we have a material, like one of the base materials for Roblox, and we're going to change it up a little bit with some textures. So if you look at the properties for this red sand texture that the AI made, this one, you can see that it has its base material. So like this one is plastic, and where'd it go? Oops. We have its color map, its metalness map, normal, roughness, and material pattern. Material pattern, you can change it to organic or regular. Whichever one you prefer. They're just slightly different in how they work. And there's custom physical properties. I have no clue what this is supposed to do since it's a material variant. If I had to guess, the custom physical properties is like saying you put this material on top of your part and it adds these kinds of properties to it as if the texture is a physical object. But that's my best guess. There's studs per tile on these, so if you want it to be a really large texture, you can have it be 20 studs per tile. Or you can have it be a really small texture, and now you can barely even tell that it's a texture at all. I have to really get close to it for you to tell. But this is something you can mess around with if you want, to change how big or small the texture is that appears on your part. I can even scale it up so that it's a lot more noticeable in what's going on. I'll move it over here. There we go. And then I change the studs per tile. You can kind of see that it's all going into that top left corner. Kind of like how GUIs default to the top left corner. But I digress. You can add these materials to the MaterialService so that they can be used in contexts such as this one. If you look at the actual properties, the material properties of the little Jimmy McBean's part we have, you see it has its material, right? And then it also has its material variant. You might have seen this a couple times when you're making a part, like material variant. What's this supposed to be for? Well, this is what it's supposed to be for. These material variants that are found in the MaterialService can be selected so that you can add that custom kind of material to it. It's kind of like having decals on top of your part, but it's less of a hassle. So instead of slapping a decal on this side, this side, this side, all that big mess, and worrying about scaling and all that, you can just create your texture and all the different things that come with it, like the color, metalness, normal, all that. And then you can just have it be one solid texture, so it's less of a hassle than stuff like decals would be. And to access these, you just really have to put them in the material service, and you don't have to do any kind of specific thing with how it's ordered. Like, these are in folders. They don't have to be out in the open. They can be out in the open, and it'll still work the exact same. You can see that that's still an option. But you can have it be in folders. It's like how in replicated storage, you can have a million folders, but you can still access things inside of replicated storage. The game still recognizes it as there. If you want to change this stuff in a script, what you can do is something like this. So first things first, let's create a little variable for our part here, which is script.parent. And then all we gotta do is part.materialVariant, not material variant, and we set it equal to a string, which is the name of our material. We don't have to put anything like the asset IDs or where it comes from or anything like that. We just have to put the name, and then essentially what will happen is that thing in the string will get put right here where material variant says, and then the game will go from there and say, okay, in material service, is there this thing called red sand texture that it's talking about? And when it finds it, it'll apply everything like the color map, the roughness map, all that good stuff. So when we run it, we'll see that, boom, that texture has been applied. Really simple with coding those things in. And finally, with the material service, I'd like to mention this thing at the bottom. This applies to, it applies to all textures, really, and it applies to terrain as well, which is just that Roblox updated their textures in 2022. So if you want the classic look of terrain textures and all the other textures, then you can just disable this. You can see our terrain just got changed a little bit, and some of the other textures look just a little bit different. But essentially, that's the basics on the material service and what you can use it for. It's really simple. The hardest part is probably the color map and the roughness map, all that kind of stuff. It's probably the hardest part, but when you actually get everything into Studio, then it's really easy to use those things. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you did, and you might like to join my Discord server, which I talk about new videos coming out, and I talk about my game, The Valley. You get exclusive news about what's going on that I sometimes don't talk about in the devlogs. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.